In a historic meeting in Bogor, Indonesia, President Sukarno welcomed North Korea's Kim Il-sung. As a gesture of friendship, he named a new orchid species Kimilsungia. The flower would become a symbol of peace in Pyongyang. During an official visit to the United States, Sukarno toured Disneyland with Walt Disney himself. Ironically, a year later, President Eisenhower authorized the CIA to attempt a coup against Sukarno, one that would ultimately fail. After World War II ended, British troops arrived in Surabaya to take over from Japanese forces. But Indonesians, having already declared independence, resisted fiercely. This marked the start of one of the bloodiest battles in the nation's history. Sunan Pakubuwono X ruled Surakarta from 1893 to 1939. In this rare photo, he walks through the streets of Luar, Batang in the 1920s. His reign was one of stability and cultural richness in Javanese history. A young B.J. Habibie, the brilliant engineer, proudly shows Indonesia's first homemade aircraft to President Suharto. Habibie would later become the third president of Indonesia, leading during a time of national crisis. In 1942, Dutch forces officially surrendered to the Japanese Empire at Kalijati, West Java. This moment marked the beginning of Japan's occupation of Indonesia during World War II. In 1975, the Indonesian military invaded East Timor, backed silently by the United States and Australia. The invasion aimed to stop East Timor from becoming a communist-aligned country during the Cold War. Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru made a call from a public phone during the Bandung Conference. Indonesia and India shared close ties under Sukarno, despite occasional disagreements over global politics. In the 1930s, Charlie Chaplin visited Indonesia and was enchanted by the town of Shibatu in West Java. Locals dubbed it the Swiss of Java for its cool climate and scenic beauty. General Sudirman, Indonesia's legendary commander, delivers a passionate speech to the people in the early years of the Republic. Behind him stands a banner of the Indonesian National Party, PNI. In the dense forests of Kalimantan, the Tumbang Anoy Agreement was reached. It officially ended the practices of headhunting and cannibalism among the Dayak tribes. Admiral John Lai, seen fourth from the left, was one of the few Chinese Indonesians ever honored as a national hero. A naval corvette was later named after him in recognition of his service. Around 100 years ago, Dutch and Indonesian children would gather to watch monkey dances. These performances were banned in Jakarta in 2013 due to concerns over animal cruelty. President Suharto visited West Papua, then the youngest province in Indonesia. The transfer of Papua from Dutch to Indonesian control remains one of the most debated moments in Indonesian history. Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew paid his respects to two Indonesian Marines, Usman and Harun, who were executed for bombing a building during the Indonesia-Malaysia confrontation. In 1938, the Dutch East Indies became the first Asian country to play in the FIFA World Cup. The team lost its only match but made history in global football. Although Sukarno disliked American pop culture, he occasionally mingled with Hollywood celebrities. Here, he spends time with Elvis Presley, showing the softer side of the fiery leader. Pilgrims from the remote Kai Islands began their Hajj journey across dangerous seas. The voyage to Mecca could last 6 months, a true test of physical and spiritual endurance.
These three men were known as the intellectual triad Ki Hajarduantoro, Ernest Dausdekker, and Cipto Mangunkusumo. Together, they were the leading Indonesian voices for independence in the early 1900s. In 1986, Indonesia proudly hosted the FESPIC Games, an event for Asian athletes with disabilities. Decades later, the country welcomed the world again during the 2018 Asian Para Games. This floating market in Banjarmasin, captured a century ago, remains a unique symbol of South Kalimantan's trade and tradition to this day. The restoration of Borobudur, the world's largest Buddhist temple, began around 1975. Its global recognition was sparked by British Governor Raffles back in 1814. World boxing champion Muhammad Ali is seen here riding a bekik in the streets of Jakarta. He visited Indonesia multiple times, including a memorable bout against Dutch fighter Rudy Lubbers. Around the 1920s, Krakatoa erupted again, though not as violently as in 1883, which was one of the most catastrophic volcanic events in history. Pasar Baru Street in Bandung during Dutch occupation. Today, it remains a busy commercial hub, especially known for textile shopping. President Sukarno and diplomat Haji Agus Salam walking beside Lake Toba. Agus Salam was a founding father and one of Indonesia's most respected diplomats. Muri Thomas, Indonesia's first female doctor, graduated from Stovia and served at the country's largest hospital during the colonial era. Over a century ago, Thailand's King Chulalongkorn visited Bogor with his royal family. He was especially fascinated by the famed Bogor Botanical Gardens. 11. Mass protests in the 1960s featured anti-American slogans, communist symbols, and strong support for President Sukarno's anti-imperialist stance. Herlina Kasim, Indonesia's brave female paratrooper, shown here before a mission in West Papua. She fought alongside male soldiers during Indonesia's struggle for liberation from Dutch control.